The cameras didn't catch it, but the streets did. And now fans are shocked. Just when viewers thought the dust had finally settled, whispers started spreading like wildfire across social media timelines and group chats. Kirk Frost and Jasmine Washington were spotted together, again. Not at a public event, not at a business meeting, but in a way that has everyone asking the same question: why now, and where is Rasheeda? Because here's the part that has emotions running high. While Kirk and Jasmine's alleged run-in has fans dissecting every blurry photo and anonymous tip, Rasheeda is noticeably missing from the newest episode of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta. No confessionals, no commentary, no reaction shots, just silence. And in reality TV, silence screams louder than any argument. Fans immediately noticed it. 1 minute, Rasheeda is front and center, holding her family together under public scrutiny. The next, gone, as if the edit itself is hiding something. Social media erupted with theories. Was she refusing to film? Was production protecting her? Or was this the calm before an emotional storm no one is ready for? Sources claim the sighting happened late at night, far from the cameras, in a moment that looked anything but accidental. Kirk, known for brushing off rumors with a laugh and a shrug, suddenly has no comment. Jasmine, who once vowed she was done with the drama, was reportedly, visibly emotional, leaving fans divided over whether this was closure, or a calculated move. And Rasheeda? That's where the mystery deepens. Those close to the family say tensions have been building behind the scenes, with conversations turning colder and trust hanging by a thread. Friends are choosing sides, family members are biting their tongues. And production insiders are hinting that what viewers don't see might be more explosive than anything aired so far. The family was left divided, fans are demanding answers, and the internet is doing what it does best, connecting dots that may or may not have ever been meant to connect. So what really happened when Kirk and Jasmine crossed paths again? Why is Rasheeda quietly missing when the drama is loudest? And is this the beginning of a storyline that could change everything we thought we knew? Buckle up, because this is not just another rumor. This might be the moment that flips the entire season upside down. The tension didn't start on camera, it started in the silence. The kind of silence that feels louder than shouting, the kind that settles in a room after too many hard conversations have already happened. Inside Kirk and Rasheeda's home, the energy had shifted days before the new episode aired. Rasheeda sat at the kitchen counter scrolling through her phone, her face calm but tight, like she was holding something back. Kirk walked in, keys dropping onto the table a little harder than usual. Neither of them spoke at first, and that pause said everything. Rasheeda finally broke the quiet, her voice measured but heavy. People are talking again. Kirk didn't look surprised. He sighed, rubbing his forehead, already defensive. People always talk, but this time was different. This time the rumors weren't vague. Names were attached, places, timelines, and the name that hung between them like unfinished business was Jasmine. Rasheeda looked up, her eyes steady but wounded. They saying you were seen with her? Kirk scoffed, pacing the room. I didn't do anything wrong. The words sounded rehearsed, like he'd said them before in his head. Rasheeda didn't raise her voice. That was what scared him. That's what you said last time, she replied. And the time before that. Outside their home, the story was already moving faster than the truth. Fans were screenshotting, zooming in, comparing outfits, timestamps, shadows. Blogs were hinting, never confirming, but saying just enough to keep the fire burning. One post claimed Kirk and Jasmine were spotted talking intensely, another said Jasmine left in tears. No one knew what was real, but everyone had an opinion. Jasmine, meanwhile, sat alone in her apartment staring at her phone, the comments flooding in faster than she could read them. She had told herself she was done with this chapter of her life. She had said she wanted peace, privacy, a future not defined by old mistakes. But seeing Kirk again had cracked something open she thought was healed. When her friend called, Jasmine's voice trembled. I didn't plan for this, she said. I didn't call the cameras. I didn't tell nobody. Her friend asked the question everyone was thinking. So why meet him at all? Jasmine hesitated. Because he asked. And because some things never really end. Back at Rasheeda's business, the atmosphere was tense. Her staff whispered when they thought she couldn't hear. Her sisters watched her closely, waiting for the moment she might break. One of them finally pulled her aside. You good? Rasheeda forced a smile. I'm working. But work couldn't drown out the noise anymore. Every vibration of her phone felt like another possible betrayal. When the producers called, Rasheeda didn't answer. When they texted, she left it on read. This wasn't a dramatic walkout. It was a quiet withdrawal. She wasn't ready to perform pain for an audience that already felt entitled to it. Kirk noticed the absence immediately. You not filming? he asked that night. Rasheeda shrugged. Maybe I don't feel like explaining myself this time. Kirk's frustration grew. He felt judged, cornered, misunderstood. To him, the meeting with Jasmine was closure, nothing more. But he knew how it looked, and he knew his past made every explanation sound like an excuse. When he met up with his friends, they didn't sugarcoat it. You messed up before, one of them said. You don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. Kirk snapped back. So I'm guilty forever? The room fell quiet. Meanwhile, Jasmine's name was trending again, and she hated that it still had this power over her life. She recorded a voice memo she never sent, her emotions spilling out. I never wanted to be the villain, she said through tears. I didn't ask to fall into this mess. But fans weren't interested in nuance. Some called her manipulative, others called her honest. The divide grew sharper by the hour. The night the episode aired, Rasheeda stayed home. She didn't live tweet. She didn't post reactions. She watched quietly, noticing her own absence, seeing Kirk on screen answering questions she hadn't been there to respond to. When a producer asked Kirk where Rasheeda was, he hesitated too long. She needed space, he said. That one line sent fans spiraling. Texts poured into Rasheeda's phone from friends, family, even people she hadn't spoken to in years. Why you not on the episode? Are y'all good? Is it over? She didn't reply. Instead, she turned her phone face down and stared at the ceiling, memories replaying whether she wanted them to or not. Forgiveness, betrayal, rebuilding. How many times could one heart do that before it hardened? Kirk tried calling her. No answer. He left a voicemail, his voice softer than usual. We need to talk. Jasmine, across town, watched clips from the episodes circulate online. She noticed Rasheeda wasn't there. Her chest tightened. I never meant to cause this, she whispered to herself, even as part of her new intentions didn't change impact. The family felt the strain immediately. Kirk's relatives called him reckless. Rasheeda's family closed ranks around her, protective and angry. Dinners became tense, conversations clipped. Everyone was waiting for the explosion, but instead there was this slow burn, this unresolved ache that stretched on. Late that night, Rasheeda finally texted Kirk back. Just 3 words. I need time. Kirk stared at the screen, realizing for the first time that this wasn't about Jasmine anymore. It was about trust, and how fragile it still was. Outside, the internet kept guessing, fans stayed shocked, emotions ran high, and no one realized they were only at the beginning of something much deeper, something that hadn't even fully revealed itself yet. The next morning came too fast. Kirk barely slept, his mind looping through every version of the past where he could have made a different choice. Rasheeda woke up before sunrise, not because she was rested, but because her thoughts wouldn't let her stay still. She moved through the house quietly, almost like a guest in her own life, making coffee she barely drank and staring out the window as the city slowly came alive. By mid-morning, the blogs had multiplied. Headlines screamed speculation, thumbnails froze Kirk mid-sentence, Jasmine mid-blink, Rasheeda nowhere to be found. Fans were shocked by how deliberate her absence felt. Some praised her for protecting her peace, others accused her of avoiding the truth. Either way, her silence became the loudest storyline of the season. Kirk tried again to reach her, this time in person. When he pulled up to the boutique, he could feel eyes on him before he even stepped out of the car. Employees stiffened, whispers followed. Rasheeda was in the back, organizing inventory that didn't need organizing. When she saw him, her shoulders tensed, but she didn't walk away. Why you here? She asked, not unkind, just tired. Kirk swallowed. Because talking through text ain't working. Rasheeda crossed her arms. Talking didn't work before either. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. Rasheeda finally looked at him, really looked. You met with the one person who represents every broken promise you ever made me. You don't get to decide that doesn't hurt. The words landed hard. Kirk opened his mouth to respond, then stopped. For once, he didn't have a comeback. Rasheeda continued, her voice steady but heavy with years of restraint. You keep thinking this is about what you did this time. It's about what I had to survive last time. Across town, Jasmine sat with her mother, the television muted but flashing her name across the screen. Her mother shook her head. This world won't let you move on. Jasmine's eyes filled. I didn't want this. Her mother reached for her hand. Intentions don't erase consequences. Jasmine nodded, knowing that truth too well. She debated speaking out, clearing the air, defending herself. But every time she drafted a statement, it sounded either too defensive or too apologetic. Either way, she knew it would only pour gasoline on a fire that was already out of control. Instead, she stayed quiet, hoping the storm would pass. It didn't. Kirk left the boutique without resolution. Fans captured blurry photos of him walking out alone, head down. Comments flooded in. Some called him careless, others said he was trapped by his past forever. The pressure mounted, not just from the public, but from within his own family. His mother called him that night. "You keep hurting the woman who stood by you," she said. One day she might not stand anymore. Rasheeda spent that evening with her sisters. Laughter felt forced. Food went untouched. Finally, one sister asked what everyone was afraid to say. "Are you done?" Rasheeda didn't answer right away. She stared at the table, then said quietly, "I don't know who I am if I keep forgiving." That question haunted her. Being strong had become her identity. Being loyal, patient, resilient. But strength wasn't supposed to feel like erasing yourself. Later that night, she opened an old journal, pages filled with prayers, doubts, promises to herself. One line stood out: "Don't let love cost you your peace." She closed the book, tears finally falling. Meanwhile, producers scrambled behind the scenes. Storylines were shifting. Plans were changing. Rasheeda's absence had created a void no one could fill. Kirk was asked to film a confessional alone. He sat under the lights, visibly uncomfortable. When asked about Jasmine, his jaw tightened. "I should have known better," he admitted. Even if nothing happened, it opened wounds that weren't healed. The clip went viral within hours. Fans dissected every pause, every sigh. Some saw remorse, others saw regret for being caught. Jasmine watched the clip too, her heart racing. She felt pulled back into a narrative she never wanted to headline again. Her phone buzzed with a message from Kirk. Just one sentence: "This got bigger than both of us." She didn't reply. Rasheeda's phone buzzed non-stop, but one message stood out. It was from a longtime fan. "You don't owe anyone access to your pain." Rasheeda read it twice. Something about it settled deep in her chest. Days passed with no public appearances from her. Kirk grew increasingly isolated. Even when surrounded by people, he felt alone. He started to realize that explanations meant nothing without changed behavior, and apologies meant nothing without accountability. But was it too late? The tension finally spilled over when Jasmine agreed to meet a producer off camera. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I don't want to be the reason a family falls apart." The producer asked, "But are you willing to tell your side?" Jasmine hesitated. "My side won't fix anything." That night, Rasheeda and Kirk found themselves in the same room again, the air thick with unresolved emotion. No cameras, no audience, just years of love and damage between them. Kirk spoke first, softer than ever. "I don't want to lose you." Rasheeda's eyes glistened. "Then you should have protected me when it mattered." They sat there, the distance between them small but immeasurable. Outside, fans waited for a blow-up, a breakup, a dramatic declaration. Instead, what unfolded was quieter, heavier, and far more uncertain, as all three of them stood at the edge of choices that would change everything moving forward. The quiet didn't last. It never does. By the end of the week, the pressure had built to a breaking point, and everyone could feel it. Kirk woke up to missed calls from producers, friends, even distant relatives who suddenly felt entitled to an opinion. Rasheeda woke up to the same, but she still didn't answer. Instead, she packed a small bag and left the house before Kirk came downstairs, leaving nothing behind except a note that said she needed clarity, not chaos. When Kirk read it, his chest tightened. This wasn't a threat. This wasn't a dramatic exit. This was something more dangerous. This was Rasheeda choosing herself, and he didn't know where that left him. He drove around the city for hours, replaying conversations, trying to convince himself he still had time to fix this. But time felt like it was slipping through his fingers. Rasheeda checked into a hotel under a different name, craving anonymity she rarely had anymore. She turned on the TV, then turned it off. Everywhere she looked, her life was being debated by strangers. She stared at her reflection in the mirror, asking herself a question she'd avoided for years. What if love isn't supposed to hurt this much? Meanwhile, Jasmine finally broke. The weight of being blamed, defended, dragged, and dissected became too much. She called Kirk, her voice sharp but trembling. "You need to tell the truth," she said. Kirk snapped back, "I did." Jasmine exhaled. "Not your version. The whole truth. Because right now, she's paying for both of us." That sentence hit him harder than any blog headline. Kirk realized that even if nothing physical happened, his emotional recklessness had consequences. Meeting Jasmine reopened wounds that never fully healed, not just for Rasheeda, but for Jasmine too. Both women were tied to the same mistake, one that kept repeating itself in different forms. Rasheeda's family found out where she was staying. Her mother called first. "You okay?" Rasheeda paused. "I'm breathing." That was the best answer she had. Her mother didn't push. She knew strength when she heard it, even when it sounded tired. Back on set, the energy shifted. Cast members whispered about Rasheeda's absence, about Kirk's visible unraveling. One friend confronted him directly. "You keep saying nothing happened. But something always happens when you don't set boundaries." Kirk had no defense left. Jasmine, against her better judgment, agreed to sit down for a private conversation with Rasheeda. No cameras, no producers. Just them. When Rasheeda walked into the room and saw Jasmine sitting there, her heart raced. This was the face attached to years of pain, even if the pain wasn't entirely her fault. The room was heavy with unspoken history. Jasmine spoke first, tears in her eyes. "I never wanted to hurt you." Rasheeda nodded slowly. "Intentions don't change impact." Jasmine swallowed hard. "I didn't reach out to him. He reached out to me." Rasheeda closed her eyes for a moment. "And you answered." "That wasn't an accusation. It was a truth." Jasmine nodded. "Because part of me still wanted answers. And that was selfish." Rasheeda studied her, seeing not a villain, but a woman tangled in the same emotional wreckage. "I'm tired," Rasheeda said quietly. "I'm tired of being strong in situations I didn't create." Jasmine's voice cracked. "What can I do to make this right?" Rasheeda thought about it, then shook her head. "There's nothing you can do. This isn't about you fixing anything. This is about me deciding what I'm willing to live with." The conversation ended without resolution, but something shifted. Jasmine left knowing she could no longer hide behind silence. Rasheeda left knowing she could no longer ignore her own limits. When Kirk found out they had met, panic set in. He imagined worst-case scenarios, public confrontations, irreversible decisions. He rushed to the hotel, knocking on Rasheeda's door until she answered. Her face was calm, but distant. "Did you talk to her?" he asked. Rasheeda nodded. "Yes." Kirk's voice trembled, and Rasheeda met his eyes. And it confirmed everything I already felt. They sat across from each other, the distance symbolic. Kirk tried to explain himself again, but Rasheeda stopped him. "I don't need explanations," she said. "I need consistency, safety, respect." Kirk nodded, tears welling. "I can change." Rasheeda's voice softened, but her words were firm. "You've been saying that for years." Outside, fans sensed the shift. This didn't feel like typical reality TV drama anymore. It felt raw, unresolved, dangerous in its honesty. Some rooted for reconciliation, others begged Rasheeda to walk away for good. The divide grew deeper. That night, Rasheeda made a decision she hadn't fully spoken out loud yet. She wasn't ready to announce anything. She wasn't ready to label it. But she knew one thing for sure. Things could not go back to the way they were. As Kirk left the hotel, the weight of that reality settled in. Jasmine, alone in her apartment, deleted old messages she'd held onto for too long. And Rasheeda, staring out at the city lights, felt both terrified and free, standing at the edge of a choice that would redefine not just her marriage, but her entire sense of self. By the next day, the situation had fully escaped anyone's control. What started as whispers had turned into full-blown speculation, and every move felt like it carried consequences. Rasheeda stayed at the hotel longer than planned, not hiding, but refusing to rush back into a space where her emotions had been ignored for so long. She spent hours thinking, replaying every moment she chose forgiveness over confrontation, peace over truth, stability over self. Kirk, on the other hand, was unraveling. The house felt empty without her presence, even though her things were still there. Every room reminded him of what he stood to lose. He tried distracting himself with work, with calls, with noise, but nothing filled the space Rasheeda had left behind. For the first time, the possibility that she might not come back hit him hard. He met with his oldest friend late that night, someone who had seen him at his worst and his best. "You don't lose people all at once," the friend said. "You lose them in pieces, every time you don't listen." Kirk stared at the floor, realizing how true that sounded. "What if she's already gone?" he asked quietly. The friend didn't answer right away. "Then you gotta respect that too." Meanwhile, Rasheeda's absence from filming became impossible to ignore. Producers tried to spin it, but the energy on set was off. Cast members felt it. Conversations stopped when Kirk entered the room. Some avoided him altogether. Others confronted him head-on. One castmate said what many were thinking. "You keep dragging the past into the present, and expecting it not to explode." Online, fans were split down the middle. Some demanded Rasheeda leave him for good, praising her strength and patience. Others accused her of playing the victim, saying she knew who she married. Emotions ran high, comment sections turned toxic, and the family was left divided not just privately, but publicly too. Jasmine tried to stay out of the spotlight, but it followed her anyway. She declined interviews, ignored requests, and stayed offline, but people kept pulling her back in. One message stood out from a stranger. "You broke a family." She stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Guilt and resentment wrestled inside her. She hadn't forced Kirk to make any choices, but she couldn't deny her role in reopening wounds. Eventually, Jasmine decided silence wasn't enough. She met with a close friend and admitted something she'd never said out loud. "I still cared," she said. "Not in the way people think. But enough to answer when I shouldn't have." Saying it out loud made it real, and also made it clear that letting go meant more than just stepping away from Kirk. It meant stepping away from the chaos entirely. Rasheeda finally agreed to meet Kirk again, this time on her terms. Neutral space. No raised voices. No rewriting history. When they sat down, the air was heavy but calm. Kirk spoke first. "I'm scared," he admitted. "I don't want to lose my family." Rasheeda listened, then replied softly. "I've been scared for years. The difference is, I stayed." She told him what she had never fully articulated before. How every rumor reopened old scars. How every explanation felt like dismissal. How her silence wasn't weakness, but exhaustion. Kirk listened, really listened, and for the first time, didn't interrupt. When she finished, he looked broken. "I didn't realize how deep it went," he said. Rasheeda shook her head gently. "That's the problem. There was no dramatic fight. No shouting. Just truth, laid bare." Rasheeda made it clear she wasn't making promises. She wasn't offering reassurance. She needed actions, not words, and time she didn't know how long she'd need. Kirk nodded, knowing this wasn't a negotiation. As days passed, the narrative continued to shift. Fans noticed Kirk changing his tone, owning his mistakes more openly. Some believed it was growth. Others thought it was damage control. Rasheeda remained mostly silent, her absence becoming a statement in itself. The family tried to hold things together, but the cracks were visible. Gatherings felt awkward. Conversations were cautious. Everyone was waiting for a decision that hadn't been announced yet. Even the children sensed something was different, something fragile. Jasmine, watching from afar, made her own choice. She changed her number, stepped away from the city for a while, and committed to starting over somewhere her name didn't immediately spark controversy. It wasn't running. It was survival. By the end of the week, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same again. Trust had been shaken, boundaries redrawn, and illusions stripped away. Whether this story would end in reconciliation or separation was still unknown, but one thing was certain. The old version of this family no longer existed, and whatever came next would demand honesty, accountability, and courage from everyone involved. Now it's your turn. You've seen how this situation unfolded, how silence spoke louder than words, and how one moment can reopen wounds that never fully healed. You watched emotions run high, lines get crossed, and trust hang in the balance. But the biggest questions are still unanswered, and that's where you come in. Do you believe Kirk truly understood the damage his actions caused, or was it too little too late? Do you think Rasheeda was right to step back and protect her peace, or should she have confronted everything head-on for the cameras? And what about Jasmine? Was she unfairly dragged back into a story she was trying to leave behind, or did she knowingly step into unfinished business? Fans are shocked because this doesn't feel like ordinary reality TV drama. It feels real, it feels raw, and it feels unresolved. The family was left divided, not just on screen, but in the court of public opinion. Some of you are rooting for healing and reconciliation. Others are saying walking away is the only real strength left. And that split says a lot about how deeply this story hit. If you've ever stayed too long, forgiven too much, or tried to keep the peace at your own expense, you probably saw a piece of yourself in this situation. If you've ever made a mistake that followed you longer than you expected, you probably felt the weight Kirk was carrying. And if you've ever been judged by a chapter of your life you were trying to close, you might understand why Jasmine chose silence. So now we want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back. Tell us who you think was right, who was wrong, and what you think should happen next. Should this marriage fight for another chapter, or is this the moment everything finally changes? Your voice matters here, because this conversation doesn't end when the episode does. And if you're still watching right now, make sure you show your support. Hit the like button if this story had you thinking. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, because trust us, this drama is far from over. And turn on notifications, because when the next twist drops, you're going to want to hear it first. This story isn't just about rumors or headlines. It's about choices, consequences, and the moments that define relationships when no one is watching. Stay with us, stay engaged, and stay ready, because the next chapter could change everything.